We're starting a little late from technical problems, but we're here. This is Kauai Tibetan Buddhist Dharma Center on the island of Kauai. Thursday night class, which is 6 to 8 every week. I'm Lama Tashi, and tonight we're going to do the Tibetan Buddhist practices of the 5 elements, 3 lights meditation together, and then we're going to introduce what is called the wrathful deity practices. The one particular one which I started with many, many years ago is called Vajrapani. And I think it's on YouTube. But anyway, for visualization practice, I'll explain that as we go along. When we do these practices, which is actually done globally, all the lamas of all the traditions have their favorites of the Sutra and Tantric tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, which is called shamanistic Lamaism. And it's all about healing. So when we introduce these practices, that's the purpose. That's where we're at. It's not about religious connotations of becoming divine and supernatural and rebirthing in some celestial heavenly situation. It's all about now. How are we going to operate under the circumstances we find ourselves, each individually and at the same time collectively or globally, in present time, in this age. And that has to have a key word, like when you look into your computer, you have a password, a keyword. The word I use is appropriate. I used to use the word beneficial, but yeah, there's a lot of latitude there. Because what's beneficial for one person might not be for others, but appropriate. So keeping that word in mind in Tibetan Buddhist practice, whether it be the Sutra or the Tantra, which is called the Mahayana and the Vajrayana tradition, we also have the Hinayana. Now the Hinayana is where most of us start, either as a religious practitioner or as one of the many traditions of meditation that are available today. So taking that into consideration, when we introduce deity, that's actually advanced. I don't like the word high. It's advanced practice because the deity yogas don't function unless you have the basis of the bodhisattva path somehow, some way. And you also have to have a connection to an outer lama so that your inner lama will work appropriately. There's that word. And effectively. So how effective is your practice is determined 2 ways. The results outside around you with your worldly situation, your relationships, and the environment. Inside also is more mental, emotional, not so physical. But the two aren't separate. Outside, inside, same. One can't function without the other. It's kind of like the exhale can't function without the inhale, or the breath. The next aspect of this is everybody is equal as human in the human condition. By that I mean we all have karma, we all have choice, and we're all breathing the same air and so forth. But each of us operate differently. So yes, we're equal, but we're not the same. And based on that, some people get way better results with this energy program of Sutra and Tantric practice. And the 6 basic practices of the Bodhisattva, which goes with the refuge: generosity, morality, patience, perseverance, meditative focus, and the development of insight. Those all function with the deity. And then the deity and the outer Lama are the same thing. Why? Because the transmission of the deity comes from outside. It's a mind-to-mind transmission to the practitioner. And then based on the interconnection of your inner mind, inner Lama, and the outer one, you have some things that are necessary. Devotion, honor, and respect of the teacher.
Just getting married.
Forgiven. If you have your computer on,
Okay.
turn off the sound. And then this connection to the teacher is a personal connection. And in that personal connection, you become part of what is called the Sangha. Now, the Sangha is huge. Why? Because there are many lamas and there are many practitioners, and they fall into those 3 categories: Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrapani. And they're everywhere on the planet. So we're kind of like the web. We've got this grid. And whatever practice you're doing, you can be assured that there's many, many other people and lamas doing that practice at the same time you are somewhere on this little planet. Taking all that into consideration, what we're going to do tonight is introduce the wrathful aspect, which is, in a word, powerful. Now, everybody wants power to do whatever they need to do. Okay, power. So we have a lot of power-mongering people, humans. And I use the word mongering because it is that. They're very, very fixated on this thing called power. And mostly it's a control program. Either about controlling others or controlling the environment or controlling their personal situation, whatever it is. But if you have power, you have to have energy to sustain it. So having good health physically is important. Having a good mental level of accomplishment, mental process that's not disturbed is important. Being emotionally stable is very important. For instance, you want to keep the anger and hatred thing completely subdued, aversion and so forth. At the same time, we have attachment, we have pride, we have jealousy, we have ignorance, which is not knowing how to do or apply these meditation practices. So, when we move into the aspect of the wrathful deity, we use the word wrathful because the power is equal to the power of anger and hatred itself, which is all-encompassing. Well, that's the nature of mind. That's your natural mind. All-encompassing means all-pervasive, universal, timeless, nothing left out. Well, now you're opening yourself into what we call the infiniteness of the situation, without making it supernatural, without giving it any grandiose ideas that usually accompany what we call the religious tradition. I was raised Catholic, so I know all about that. I practice Hinduism, so I know that one. And so forth. So, if you adopt a wrathful deity, the basis of that deity is the peaceful. Friends, tonight we're going to introduce Vajrapani. Now, where does this work in the medicine wheel? The medicine Buddha. What is it? What is it? Why is it there? Well, I'm going to show you the eight-spoked wheel. This is called the eight-spoked wheel of the Dharma, and it's a symbol. And it's interpreted many different ways, but I'm going to use the medicine Buddha, the idea of healing, illness, disease, which is what we're talking about, emotional, physical, mental, and so forth, and how it is interpreted. So we have these eight spokes. Now these same are the eight petal lotus of the medicine Buddha, with Buddhas sitting on all eight spokes. So here's the eight positions. The first five of these are to deal with the emotional disturbed consciousness of the human mind. And we all have it. And we're not alone in it. And what the problem is with these emotionally conflicting energies is they increase from a simple point. That's the center of the wheel, from the idea of a self existing separately. So it's kind of like ignorance is the basis. So that's the first spoke, which comes from attachment, aversion, and ignorance itself, which is called stupidity, bewilderment, and so forth. Dumb, whatever, not knowing. The second spoke is the attachment that we have for things that we judge are good or we like. The third one is the aversion. Those are things that we judge as bad and we don't like. But then we evolve into jealousy. Jealousy actually comes from not accomplishing what we like. But it also comes from having aversion. And finally, the fifth spoke is pride. Now, pride is a grandiose aspect of consciousness. Usually it comes from accomplishing. For instance, in these practices, we accomplish a lot because it's called the wish-fulfilling gem, and it works out. Because once you clear all this basic interference, not knowing and all this emotional conflict stuff, and get physically together, then you can do and get what you need, what's appropriate is a better word. But we are needy, so it's what we need, what we want. So it's called the wish-fulfilling jewel. The ultimate wish is to accomplish enlightenment, which means you don't need anything. So that one doesn't compute. Now we're going to move into the three aspects of cause of disease other than the emotion. Now this gets, at this point it gets weird. Because these three categories, most people don't even want to know about. The first one is spirit. Spirit. So we have animals, humans, and spirit. Now these three are called sentient beings, and they all have the same emotional, disproportionate, conflicting emotion. All three. But the spirits are everywhere. They invade everything. So they cause a lot. Most disease are actually caused by spirits. In relationship, if you think about animals causing diseases, there's one that's really, most people don't want to even acknowledge. The worst is this mosquito. It kills more people than all the other animals together. Oh, this is deadly. We won't deal with that one right here. So spirits. Then we have the next category is religions. Now, all religions are harmful, including Buddhist religions, because of the people that practice those religions. The religion itself is not. But the people interpreting the religion and how to practice it, and with or without advice from teachers, somehow they get weird with the religion. They think they're greater than everybody else, for instance, and so forth.
Is it because it constricts the mind?
Yes, it greatly constricts the mind because it has all these rules and regulations. And you do this and you don't do that, and so forth. And it's mostly dogmatic. In fact, all religions are dogmatic, including Buddhism, forms of Buddhism. Not this shamanistic form, but Buddhism. And you can see that in Buddhist countries, what's going on, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, it used to be called Bhutan, and other Buddhist countries. Not nice, what's going on. Those are Buddhists. So that's this spoke. Now we're getting to the eighth spoke, which is what this class is about tonight. And this one is really weird. This is called hexes and curses. And they come from a human source. And they could be connected to the spirit energy, they could be connected to the religion. Religions they do hexes and curses, but I mean, look what the Catholics deal with, for instance. And very, very powerful. And they cause a lot of trouble. They cause disease. And it could be your friend, your neighbor, your relative. Or it could be somebody else on the other side of the planet that just absolutely hates you because you're not who you are or where you are. Okay? So hexes and curses. Now to counteract the hex and curse, or to deal with it, so that it's not a disease-causing function to you personally, we introduced the wrathful deity in Tibetan Buddhism. Now, in Tibet, it was absolutely necessary for them to use this to survive. And to give you an idea how powerful this is, you're using an energy that the spirits can be subdued with. It's called pacifying. What's the word we use?
Subjugating.
Subjugating. Okay, subjugating. Subjugating means actually kind of like, for us, it's like befriending. Come on into our group, you spirits, or certain animals. You know, if you're appropriate, you can be. But most spirits are nasty. The only group of spirits that's not totally nasty is the celestial one. Well, they're out to lunch because they're all preoccupied with their function of having a very pleasurable existence or being totally enamored with the light energy program of the universe or the space energy. Somehow they're totally distracted. So when you invoke those in your religion, you got to be really a good practitioner of your religion. Or they're not going to pay any attention. Now, when we do this in Tibetan Buddhism, what we are doing is taking the basic idea of the principle of loving kindness and compassion as being appropriately extended not only to yourself and the environment around you, but to everyone. All the animals, all the humans, and all the spirits, and all this emotional conflict that's going on. And that's why we take refuge, which we're going to do in a moment. But more importantly, it's kind of like, based on loving kindness, and you develop a concern for the well-being of others. You develop that. I mean, for some of us, it's natural. You already have that seed. You've done that in previous lives and you carry it forward to this life. But for most humans, nada. It's just not there. It's the I, me, mine, or the highway. Ego, egocentric function, subject-object dichotomy. So when we use this wrathful form, it's to counteract the hexes and curses from whatever source. And you can be assured that some of that is very close to you. You can be assured of that. And some of it, like I said before, could be from some person or group on the other side of the planet. And it's even worse today because of this. I'm pointing to the computer. The World Wide Web. Okay. Because now they can see somehow, some way, or hear you. Now they have a target. So you can go on Instagram and pick your target. Ooh, you know, you don't need the photograph of some particle of clothing or hair or whatever. Something with your DNA. And in a word, it's called witchcraft, which is witchcrafty. They're very crafty.
Or sorcery.
But in another word, as Abby says, it's called sorcery. And I remember that word from the saucer. But anyway, sorcery. Okay, so there is a wide latitude of this going on the planet today, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous to do, and it's dangerous for the of that kind of harmful energy. It makes you sick. It can make you sick mentally, it can make you sick physically, it can cause you to have more emotional problems, as if we didn't have enough. So this Vajrapani, which I'm going to introduce tonight, is also comes under many, many headings in Tibetan Buddhism. Actually, there's 84 headings, just like there's 42 peaceful aspects. It's funny that there's twice as many wrathful as there are peaceful in any case. This has to be dealt with the advice of the Lama, the teacher. And if you adopt this practice, which I'm going to present tonight, Vajrapani practice, it has a mantra, it has a mandala, and it is presented in the same way as the Chenrezig, which is the basis of Vajrapani. But you have to know that power or energy without compassion and insight, inner practice development, emotional stability, and so forth, won't work. So you might say, oh boy, I need more power, I'm going to do this Vajrapani thing, and Amatasha does this and that, and so forth. But it might not accomplish anything. Or it might even be counterproductive for certain individuals. And so, be careful. That's my advice. But what it is as you develop your body, speech, and mind with these practices, starting with the 3 lights, and tonight we're going to do the 5 elements, we're going to take refuge and so forth. Compassion, power, and insight have to be working together, those 3. If one is not up to par, the other 2 become dysfunctional. They don't do what they're supposed to do. Primarily, they don't develop the heart, energy of loving kindness, and concern for yourself, the environment around you, and everybody in totality, which includes the whole universe. So you're working with a vast energy field. So now we're going to take refuge, and I would just like to read this so that you might not want to do the rest of the class tonight. This is a book that was given me a few weeks ago by one of my students visiting from the mainland. It's called the Essential Sangharatisa, Rakshita. And what it is a complete compilation of all the Buddhist teachings that this guy wrote down over 50 years. All in one book. And so I'm wading through it. And I'm not much of a scholar and I don't have a great memory. But this is what it says about Vajrapani. Then, in Tibetan, Dene, there is Vajrapani. This aspect of shamanistic Lamaism is based on the Chenrezig of loving kindness, compassion, power, and insight, which is peaceful. This deity represents the power aspect of enlightenment in its full mode of energy. Not power in a political sense, or in the sense of power over other people, but a spiritual power that enables one to progress quickly to understand their true nature and how to use it. It must be used in conjunction with Chenrezig and, if possible, the four basic practices of Tantra, which is called the Noon Drill, and also with the empowerment of at least 3 deities: Tara, Chenrezig, and Manjushri. Although he has a peaceful form too, as I mentioned, Chenrezig and the others, Vajrapani is usually depicted in a dark, wrathful form, an image of ferocious energy to crush the force of ignorance and other dangerous activity of humans. This wrathful Vajrapani is dark blue or black in color, and he is not slender, slim, and graceful, but just the opposite. He has a stout body, perturbed belly, thick, short limbs. His countenance expresses extreme anger. He has fangs, long white teeth, or tusks. He is more or less naked, apart from a few ornaments of human bone and a tiger skin skirt. He carries in one hand a Vajra, which is called the thunderbolt, which all lamas have, and in the other hand, a jewel bow, which is the bell with the Vajra handle. This terrifying figure is crowned with 5 skulls representing the 5 Dhyana Buddhas, or 5 wisdoms that we are developing with these practices. He is in dance posture, one foot uplifted and the other to crush and trample whatever forces or condition exist that separate us from the light of truth. He is surrounded by a great halo of intense flames that are mixed with many types of weapons, crossbars, swords, clubs, and so forth. This Bodhisattva Vajrapani is destroying and breaking up conditioned existence just as it is, rendering the veil of ignorance and scattering all forces of darkness through the power of the Lama's spiritual energy. Then, by way of contrast, there are Tara and other figures which are actually his support or basis of this power or energy that he is emphasizing. Avalokiteshvara, Chenrezig, is one. That's enough. He goes on in more detail. We did the picture. Now we take that. Anything else, Abby? We start with the altruistic motivation, then we will chant the support of the 6 refuges, and then we will chant the Bodhisattva prayer with the 6 basic Bodhisattva practices as our actual reference to all of what we do. Da dang yo wa nang ke da dang yam pe san xiang dang che du di ne jun te ji si zhang chu ning fu la chi pi bar du Ba den lama dam pa nam la chak su chi yo Yidam choko yi la so nam ma chak su chi Sanje chong den den nam la chak su chi Dam pe chur nam la chak su chi Ba pe gen du nam la chak su chi Bao Gandro Chokyo Sume Sho Yeshe Kishin Dong Tempa Nam La Jasu Jio Sanje Chodang Choki Chodang La Jai Chu Bardu Dagi Chasu Chi Dagi Jin So Ji Pe So Nam Ki So La Ben Zer Shan Je Nam So. And we start with these three in Sanskrit, so all of the spirit energy around us in whatever environment we find ourselves is incorporated. Now that first part that I chanted, we're going to say here in English, it's called the altruistic motivation. In order to attain enlightenment, for ourselves and limitless sentient beings, our mothers, we now altogether take refuge and offer prostration. We go for refuge to all glorious holy lamas. We go for refuge to all the yidams, the deities gathered in our mandala. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those who conquered mind and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all this supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. And we go for refuge to all Dakas and Dakinis, who are the protectors and defenders of Dharma. All of these possessing the eye of transcending awareness. To the Buddha, Dharma, and this Supreme Assembly, we go for refuge until enlightenment. May I, through merit gained from practicing the six perfections, accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. And I just want to note that the sixth line of the refuge prayer is about Vajrapani. And it's the one that we say, Awo Kandro Chokyun Sume Sho Yeshe Kishin Dong Tempa Namang Chatsuchu. What that is all of the wrath, Awos and Kandros, Dakinis and male protectors, all of them are at our disposal or at our part of our practice, inseparable from whatever sutra you're practicing, inseparable from whatever deity yoga you're practicing, and inseparable from the six basic practices or functions of a bodhisattva. And that's why you take refuge, because they're there already. If you activate them in practice, that's for you, for your situation, for your sangha, to help to deal with disturbance. They cause disease and so forth. Having said that, we're going to start the practice of the three lights meditation, incorporating the Om, and then I'm going to do one of the five elements practice. But I want to right away get the empowerment activity going with the Om Ahom, because that's the body, speech, and mind of all the lamas, of all the lineages of Tibetan Buddhism, from Shakyamuni Buddha up to the present, right away. Transmission activated. So sit with your back straight, head tilted, eyes open, mouth closed, hands comfortable. And start the three lights breathing practice by inhaling white light and hearing the sound Om. The white light comes in with the inhale, fills your lungs. The absorption breath, or light support breath, is visualized as red light filling your body, every cell. And the sound of that is Ah. So the sound that goes with the inhale is Om. So you inhale, you hear Om. The life support breath, the absorption breath is red light through your body, you hear Ah. Then those two come together as an exhale out the nose or mouth, and that is visualized as blue light goes everywhere in space. Universal exhale, and you hear the sound Hum. Now this Hum is the creation sound of the medicine wheel. So it's all about that. This is called the healing breath of tantric practice. Again, inhale white light, hear Om. Absorption breath through the body, red light, hear Ah. Blend these two, exhaling out the nose, blue light to space, Hum. Now, to help support this, we'll start off with a mantra chant of Om Ahom to kind of energize what we are doing tonight. You don't have to do it with visualizing the breath. You just see those three lights as you sound them, and if you can, with those three syllables in Sanskrit, and let them do whatever they do. Inhale. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. Om Ahom. Om Then we gather these three energy power sources or fields, and we gather them into the heart center, into the sound Om, which is based on the body's aspect of the Om in the head, Ah in the throat, Om in the heart center, all together in the heart chakra. And the Om is the essence of the medicine Buddha practice, which is a symbol of the totality of everything we're doing in Tibetan Buddhism to cause healing to take place, or as an antidote to all dysfunctions in the human condition. But specifically, the water element. And when we use the water element symbol for healing, it's kind of like our planet. Our planet is called the water planet because it's life support, basic energy that all of us need. Of course, there's the air, the earth itself, the light from the sun, we say fire, and space. But this one is the body, your physical body. And when you are forming in the womb and come out of your mother, this is the one that's the most important. And it's the one that you have the most of as you age, as you proceed from birth to the end of life. So we're going to use this symbol tonight in meditation to activate the necessities of healing physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Now, spiritually means psychically. Psychically. This is a psychic world. This is a psychic energy field. There's no separation in this psychic environment we find ourselves in. You can be on one side of the planet and affect psychically someone or something on the other side. But when it's inside, outside, that psychic energy functions in union. So now we're going to use this water element. So the seed soluble foam now turns into a blue sphere of light, whatever color blue you like, and you label it water. And when you do that, you psychically activated that universal element, that life support element, in union with the water, with the earth, the radiation, the fire, the air, and the space element. They can't be separate. But your emphasis is on this element, water. Then you imagine that sphere to move out in front of your body and up before your eye. You can make it about the size of your thumbnail, about the size of a small grape or sphere. And imagine that it's about arm's length or about 2 feet out in front of your eyes for the space that you started your practice with your eyes partially open or wide open, whatever. Because you want that light energy coming in. Now it starts to function. Just by your psychic process of imagining it there. Just like you imagine it here in the center of your chest. Activate. Then imagine it to grow in size into a huge room of blue light or water, and you are submerged in this sphere of energy. floating inside, sitting in the bottom of the sphere, however you want. It is in full engagement with your form, with your situation. You're meditating. Receiving this healing energy in this way, now because of your having taken refuge, your altruistic motivation, you're going to share it with your infinite family in infinite space. And the way you do that is you imagine this sphere of blue light to expand in size to completely enclose this island of Kauai, which is already doing that. Here we are out in the middle of this ocean of water. Or your town, city, or the area where you are doing this path, a large part of the area where you live, inside. When you do that, you're encompassing all the beings in that area. You're sharing. So whatever good results you're getting, whatever's appropriate, they're getting. Then you expand it in size, meditating to it encompass Mother Earth, Mother Water, Earth, and the atmosphere around this planet, all inside. With loving kindness and compassion as the theme, you expanded in size to completely enclose our solar system. Because all these planetaries influencing us have limitless sentient beings as part of their environment. The next step is to imagine it to grow in size to completely envelop our spiral dish-shaped galaxy. 100,000 light years in diameter, whatever. All in this energy field. Then, because the mind has no limit, you expand it in size to incorporate boundless space, which is unimaginable. So you just contemplate. You can't really meditate. You can't really visualize something called space. But this water element in the spatial reference, which has no center or circumference, is the theme. So you relax and let this psychic energy program pervade the totality of the universe simply by being present, keeping to this precious moment. In this way, the reference of the Lama starts to take place in you. This reference of infinite proportion, altruistically applied, all of that. Then from that dimension of all pervasiveness, you bring your consciousness to again enclose the universe with the symbol of the water element, this blue sphere, enclosing the galaxy. And meditating, shrink it in size to enclose our solar system. Smaller and smaller to just enclose our planet. Smaller yet to just enclose this island or whatever area you're meditating. Then bringing all of that program or energy to your physical body, you shrink it to just you sitting inside. Then again to its original small size, about the size of a grape, 2 feet in front of your eyes. If you see it there, where you've got a good imagination. Then to heart chakra level and into your heart center, because this is where everything starts and ends in the totality of existence. Then shrink it to size to a very small, tiny sphere of clear light. And then as small as you can imagine to the point where it becomes like an atom blending with the totality of light or radiation throughout space. No meditation. Relax. Then bring your awareness to in front of your eyes and expand it to your place of practice. And that ends the session of this 3 lights, 5 element meditation, contemplation, practice. Now it just so happens that the energy of this has been accepted in Canada politically because they have a form of socialized medicine that is actually on their program, just like acupuncture or other forms of healing. That will explain, right? I'll explain.
I don't know what you're trying to explain.
That they have accepted this in Canada.
Vajrapani Practice?
No, this 5 elements.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say anything about one. This
Yeah.
3 lights, 5 elements practice. It is a part of their,
They've now legalized,
it's legal.
as a form of healing, just
Yeah.
like acupuncture.
And it
It's on
has
their program.
specific applications. But actually, those specific applications of dealing with that situation that they have there, it can be used on almost any kind of medical problem. It's that powerful. You know, it's been around for thousands of years under Tai Chi Chuan and Taoism and other forms of healing, which are used in martial arts and used in medical practices. either symptomatically or otherwise. But
They call that Oriental.
what do they call it?
An Oriental practice.
They call it Oriental medicine. Comes under that name, which it is. China, Tibet, Mongolia.
There's actually now licensed.
And you can be a licensed practitioner of the 5 element 3 lights practice. And I don't have a license, and I'm doing it. But I'm here to tell you, it's a fact. Okay, so now we're going to move into the energy field of the medicine Buddha using Vajrapani. To reference this part, practically speaking, we have in the Sutra Tantric tradition the 5 spheres of what we call the application of wisdom, which these 5 really can't be separated, but these are to deal with the emotional program, which is most cause of disease. You know, if you get cancer, you got an anger problem. Primarily. Because you got a lot of other problems, like the outer reference of what you eat, and who you're associated with, and everything. But these 5 emotional applications of your inner wisdom nature, which everybody has, we call Buddha nature, cannot be separated from the 5 elements, because you got to have, where does all this start? It starts out here. And your subject-object dichotomy is enforced from birth with your mother, father, friends, relatives, everything, through your sensual involvement with whatever, whoever. But this emotional problem increases with your aging process. And where it really takes off is when you get to be about 10, 11, some people 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years of age. At least for the guy. I'll test that. Women, maybe a little different. Is it different? Age of puberty. Puberty.
Oh, yeah.
Puberty.
It's probably all the same.
Yeah, about the same. It starts to,
13.
yeah, take off. But in any case, how do you deal with it? So each of these is to deal with a class of emotional conflict, of which the Tibetans have mapped all this, India, Tibet, and then they came up with this way of introducing it, especially for the Western, graphically to Western mindset people. So the water element basically is incorporated with the anger management program. That's why I did it tonight. Aversion. Or actually judging things to be bad, which is not a good idea. Because you're bad and somebody else is good, almost all the time. Then the jealousy thing takes off because of whatever, usually insecurity. But the basis of this is thinking you're not okay, thinking you're not up to par. And it causes depression. Well, depression is a terrible disease because it causes people to want to kill themselves. Suicide. So this one is really got to get a handle. The third one down the line is ignorance itself, which is just an absolute absence of clarity of how things are and how to manage knowing that reality in your consciousness, in your activities resulting from your consciousness. The fourth one is arrogance, which is usually by getting too much of a good thing. Aggrandizement, thinking you're superior, which is not true because we're all equal. Pride. And finally we come to the hardest one, attachment. Attachment to what you judge as good. Right. Now this one escalates rapidly. If you have attachment to something, the next thing you know, it's increasing this attachment. And then you have this desire, more grasping, needing, more needy. Then desire becomes lust, and then greed, and you're psychotic. But most people think they only become psychotic with the anger and the jealousy. No, you're psycho if you any of these to the extreme. If you're fixating with this emotional program. In any case, when you do Vajrapani, as I explained before, taking on this wrathful aspect, you cannot identify it as who you are. If you do that, you're a Hindu. You don't want to become attached to it because of this energizing you.
Not even temporarily.
Not even
in
in
the
a
practice.
No, don't develop attachment because you're getting back to square one. The attachment is, in Tibetan Buddhism, we're attached, saying, you got to have a sangha, and you got to have the wisdom mind, and you got to become a Buddha. Yeah, you got to. You don't got to.
But we dissolve it into voidness at the end of the practice.
Yeah, you're already there. You're already,
So,
we did that with the practice. We went from space to space. We evolved through our universal situation and all the beings in the same universal situation we are to space at one end, and then we collected it all back down and put it in our body to space at the other end. Well, space is space. Whether it be infinite, microcosm, or macrocosm. If your mind is beyond subject-object dichotomy, it's the mother principle. It's the mother element. And if you use it with the guidance, the outer Lama mind and your inner heart Lama mind, together, that's Mahabudra. That's the great view, because in that position, there's no judgment needed. There's no neededness. There's nothing that you can identify that you're healed. That's this. All Buddha symbols are that image, whether it be medicine Buddha or this one son. All the Vajra, they're called the Vajra deities, whether they be male or female, is you're on the way to that. You're reprogramming a destructive mindset. You're doing it. And you see it working for people like the Dalai Lama and a little bit of me, Lama Tansi. See? So you got some role models. And there are thousands of it. We're scattered all over like we salted the planet. Peppered it. Hot stuff. And always available. That's the only thing that the Lamas asked me to do. After my training program, the 40-month retreat in Oregon, I went to Lama Tenzin, my retreat master, and said, now what do I do? I got all this practice, all this information, all this stuff. I got a whole suitcase full of, writings and so forth I collected. He says, keep it simple. Go someplace that's appropriate and make yourself available. Huh? That's it? Yeah. What else can you do? You don't have to push it. Just go there and hang. If you want to go up in the... So the first thing I did is I went to a cave and hung. What do you call it? When you go in the water and you lull.
Lull.
Lull. Huh? Lull?
Lull.
Lull. In Hawaii we say hang. Hang on. I did that, and I did this breathing techniques and all that. That was great. Very mellow, peaceful, connected with nature and all that. But my emotionally conflicting energy program wasn't appropriate. So then I knew I needed help. Well, now that is a very truthful realization. And we all need help. We need some kind of guidance. You cannot take on your egocentric mind, this idea of who you are and how everything is, without some guidance. Okay, so that's why you take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The Buddha is your inner nature, but the Sangha is the teaching guidance of collectively and individually on how to use this stuff. Even if you're just going to sit in the cave and lull. So here we are in the Comey Street Cave. This is Comey Street. Pretty cool. It's got fan life. A nice energy, the gardens and fruit trees and flowers and peaceful. Yellow Repa. That's what he was doing. Sound, voidness, quiet. In any case, this Vajrapani has a seed syllable. It is the 10th head of Avalokiteshvara, Chenrezig. Commonly called Mahakala, but this is the two-armed form of Mahakala, and it combines with Chenrezig and with Manjushri. Now these three are on this Tanka, and they're at the top. And Vajrapani is the one to the right. And he's in a blazing dome of fire, and he's dancing up and down, and he's carrying a Dorje bell. That's it. He's making himself available. But when you become this, now you've done just what you did with this water element. You set up an energy field. Okay? And the spirits know it. Okay? They know this character, this aspect of consciousness. And they greatly respect it to the point where they don't want to give you any trouble. Because you're in this dome of like a sun of energy around you. And it's filled with all kinds of weapons and dorjes and stuff they know is threatening. You set this up in your mind. And it applies to all the four realms of the spirit world and of the animal and human world. But primarily it's about these humans that know about these spirits and invoke them to do weird stuff. For them personally, or for their group, commonly called the coven. The word we use for Sangha. Okay? And they're here. They're here. They're in our neighborhood. They're here. They're not just on the other side of the planet or in California or some Hollywood's full of them, of course. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. And one thing nice about it, I didn't think was nice about it, is they're primarily women. It's about time. But it's not all women. There's a lot of guys doing this stuff. And when they do this stuff, they direct it just like we do. We direct our energy universally. That's why Vajrapani is the sun. A little bit for everybody. Now, when you sound Vajrapani's mantra, you are sounding a wrathful mantra called Chur. Churd means to cut obstructing energy to progress towards spiritual enlightenment. If you reach enlightenment spiritually with realization, then the physical, the mental, the emotional are all taken care of. Your future looks great. And what future? Future lives. So if you can accomplish this practice, along with, as I said before, Chenrezig, Manjushri, Tara practice, and do the Nungo practice with prostrations and Vajrapani, and make mandala offerings and do constant guru yoga, that's a lot of stuff. So we have our cave. And when you get really good at this, you can do it 24/7. And we do that 24/7. Because they're coming at us then. And so if they're coming at us, they're probably coming to everybody. There's no such thing as separation. No, that's not appropriate. That is not appropriate. Right? No, it's not. Because you're part of this army. And we don't want trouble. We got enough to deal with. Job, friends, relatives, So, what is the key? Home. Well, we already know home. We already know the Medicine Buddha, so it's part of the Medicine Buddha practice. So if you can do Medicine Buddha with Vajrapani, that's good. Okay. So you know this syllable. This goes in the heart. This is called the creation sound. This connects you to the all-pervading nature of your own consciousness in union with everybody else in the universe's consciousness. So you're entering into the infinite without making it divine and supernatural. This is not a religion. You're not going to go to heaven with you. We have karma. Heaven doesn't work for us. This is not dogmatic. Yeah, it's been around a long time, but still. But you need a few key functions. So the home with the Medicine Buddha is the theme. That goes in your heart center. Then the mantra surrounds the home. Om Vajrapani Home is the sutra. But we're doing tantra, so we're going to add a word, pay. And pay means to cut all obstruction, all ideas of subject-object separation. Cut. Churd. Called churd. So the mantra we're going to use for this practice, if you're doing Vajrapani from the sutra, is Om Vajrapani Hum. If you want to move into the tantric, direct, no fool around, Om Vajrapani Pay.
No home.
Oh, Hum. Om Vajrapani Hum Pay. Now this Hum Pay by itself is this mudra. Hum Pay. And these is earth, water, fire, air, space. So you're taking water and space energies and directing them. And be careful with it.
Be careful.
It's like,
aim it at.
it's like the Chinese do qi. They reach out into space and they collect. And they make little balls. Nothing. Like.
I was playing around one day with the pay, and I was just, and fooling around really. And I aimed it at my ex-husband. He said it felt like a whack.
Like you're whacking.
That's what it said, and knocked him over.
So be careful with this movement, especially with the hum
Be
pay.
careful.
Because you're directing the energy of the infinite potential of space and water together, which is, be careful. I'm just showing you, this is Tibetan. Mudras are very important. Shamanistic practice, because the spirits are watching you. Yeah. And you also want to make gifts. Now, I just showed the gifts to the class tonight. We do them every morning, first thing on arrival. And our coffee, which has cacao in it and coconut oil, is part of the first gift. And that, with the oatcakes I make, goes on this shrine. Then the second gifts are meat and alcohol. And they go in two separate containers, and they go on Vajrapani shrine, which is located outside in another room. We have 6 rooms in this room.
So with a protector practice, don't you always use meat and alcohol?
It is best if you use meat and alcohol. And why do we throw it outside? Is because there's spirits that are okay to be in your house, and there's spirits that are not okay to be in your house. What did you call them? The ones that
Subjugated.
you have to be subjugated, but they're in the house. If they leave, get a word for them. But anyway, so there's 2 kinds. So you want to get those, make sure they stay outside. Don't invade your places. Whatever. Okay, so Sitala mantra. Now, Vajrapani does not have to be projected like we do Manjushri and Chenrezig, Tara, and so forth. You don't have to say Mom in front is Vajrapani. You can think your Lama in front is Vajrapani. That's as far as you need to project. Because that's the mind-to-mind transmission. The energy of the outer Lama is now you. When you become Vajrapani, you're the representative of your teacher and the lineage and all the other teachers that you have, and I have many. And so in this way, I'm honoring them with this powerful practice. It is called Buddha activity. In this way, it relieves you of having to do nothing whatsoever except make yourself available. You don't have to get out there and evangelize and say, oh, this is the only way and all that kind of stuff. No. Just do the practice, see what happens. But the energy field that you're setting up, if your practice is going and you've got a pretty good foundation of other support practice, you'll see. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. It's not a necessity. This is Chenrezig as the activity of the Lama to accomplish what's appropriate. And for me, it worked. But we're coming to such a great upheaval on this planet, on every social level, from the top to the bottom of the social order. And I'm talking about the leaders of the religions and the leaders of the government, the leaders of the military, the leaders of the corporations, and so forth. Then we have a mess. And the mess is the environment itself. And the women are coming out of the woodwork. I call it out of the closet. The children are coming out of the closet. And we're coming out of the closet with Vajrapani. And so, let's do it. Let's do it collectively. And so sit with your back straight. And if you're laying down, that's okay. If you're standing up, that's okay. If you're walking, that's okay. And you start with the 3 lights as you started the 5 elements practice with the Om Aham. Inhale white light into your lungs. Here, Om. Absorption breath, life support, energy through your body. Ah. Red light flashing through every side as energy. Ah. Collect these 2, exhale out the mouth and nose. Nose is preferable. The space, Hum. So that you're not alone in this practice, you see the Lama in front. Any Lama will do, male or female. It should be the direct teacher, but it doesn't have to be. The Lama in front is giving you the transmission of this as an empowerment to move you at a faster rate towards enlightenment, ultimate realization. So you see white light from the Lama's head in front coming into your head, and you hear the sound Om. Then you see the Ah from the red light from the Lama's throat into your throat. You hear the sound Ah. And then you see blue light from the Lama's heart chakra into your heart chakra, wisdom and empowerment. You hear the sound Om. When you can see these three lights simultaneously shining into your three places, then the Lama is the fourth empowerment merging into you. It's simply like water into water. Then you collect these three lights, a white Om and a white sphere in your head, a red Ah in the throat, a red sphere and the blue Om in your heart center. Bring them all together. So Om comes down your central channel of your life force into the Ah. These two in union come down into the Hum. The Hum becomes the sea solver, the wisdom empowerment. The Lama was the fourth empowerment called the empowerment of union. Then, with the Hum in place in the blue sphere of light, you think that the energy of that pervades space, like a supernova. Specifically, the four spirit worlds: heaven, the world of the Asuras, four gods and goddesses, heaven. Deprived spirits called hungry ghosts, of which there are many categories. And the demonic spirit realms called hell, of which there are many categories. And then all the planets where animals and humans take birth throughout our infinite universe. All included, all receiving your heartfelt energy of loving kindness and concern for their well-being. That causes the mantra, Om Vajrapani, the deity, which you now become, Home, to heal, physically, mentally, emotionally, and specifically spiritually, and speed you and everybody towards realization, enlightenment. Pay, cut all obstructions, specifically curses, hexes, any type of unhealthy mental energies directed to you, to your situation, and your family, and so forth. Friends, pets, whatever. And you become Vajrapani. You're holding the dorje in your right hand and the belt in your left hand. So it looks like this. And your fingers are extended like this. Is dispelling illusion. Om Vajrapani, 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 Om. Okay. Say pay. Pay. Pay means cut. remove, destroy, dispel, however you want to think of them, transform. What we're doing is really transforming. We're taking this negative energy, obstructor energy, caused mostly by humans, of whatever mindset, of whatever culture, Eastern, Western, whatever, and subjugating the healthy part, the energy itself, and then returning the unwanted. Just return to wherever it came from. No harmful intent, just back. That's the pay. Om Vajrapani, Om Pay. Om Vajrapani, Om Vajrapani, Om Vajrapani, Om Vajrapani, Om Pay. 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 Now your Vajrapani, this is your code, this is your aspect of compassion, power, and insight to accomplish this situation as it arises. Om Vajrapani, Om Pay. 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 No animosity, no anger, no hatred, don't disturb yourself about it. Just this is how you skillfully deal with it. It's called the path of skillful meaning. We have to resort to this because of the nature of the situation of the planet today. The spirits are riled and the weather patterns, everything getting worse and worse, increasing, whatever you want to call it, global warming, whatever, climate change. And nobody, and I mean nobody, is left out of this situation. Om Vajrapani, Om Pay. 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 Om Vajrapani, Om Vajrapani, Om Pay. 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 Om Vajrapani, Om Dri, Om Vajrapani, Om Dri, Om Vajrapani, Om Dri, Om Vajrapani, Om Dri, Om Vajrapani, Om. Okay. This is how we spiritually reduce our carbon footprint. And at the end of your recitation of the mantra, usually one mala, unless you're into a dire situation that something terrible is occurring, that you might be able to deal with appropriately with this practice, and you put it into effect just like we did. Then you do the, we call Vajrapani practice. At least one mantra, if you know Vajrapani. Om Vajrapani, Vajrapani, Om Vajrapani, Vajrapani, Om Vajrapani, Vajrapani, Om Vajrapani, Vajrapani. Then you can do the 100-syllable mantra. Om Vajrapani, Vajrapani, Ida me bhava, Sudokaya me bhava, Sudokaya me bhava, Sudokaya me bhava. Anurata me bhava, Sarva Siddhi, Nitya Sarva Kama, Sutamini, Sutam Sriram Kulam, Aha, Lord Bhagavan, Sarva Kama, Vajramani Gunta, Vajrapani, Vajramani Sapa. If you don't know Vajrapani, then do Chenrezig or Tara. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Tara Titari Tiri Om Tara Titari Tiri Om Tara Titari Tiri Om Tara Titari Tiri Om Tara Titari Tiri. And that all of the what we call the Lama's energy and the yidams, which is all the people, all the deities of Tibetan Buddhism, all the yidams, pacify the situation. Which I use the words become auspicious. The activity of the lamas and the yidams produce auspicious circumstances. May all the Buddha activity of the Dakinis and the Dharma protectors may all become, everything become auspicious. Auspicious is my name, Tom. Then disappear the deity into the mantra in your heart center. Then into the seed-soluble form. And then it, with a 5-colored sphere of light enclosing it, blend with space, the totality of space, either expansive to the max or condensed, either to the macrocosm or microcosm. And then do nothing. Just keep your mind present. Take it to heart. Contemplate. Faith. Inner space. Outer space. Mahamudra. The great perfection. Mahahadi. Dzogchen. However you want to be that. Simplicity is just relax. At the end of this accomplishment stage, which is the second stage of tantric practice, the deity, the mantra, and the seed syllable is the creation stage. These two, now you can be Chenrezig, you can be Tar, you can be Vajrapani if you want to arm. But remember, Vajrapani has 5 skulls with jewel eyes on his head. Those are the 5 wisdoms. Those are the 5 Dhyana Buddhas. The Dorje and bell is to accomplish the activity of what the 5 elements of the 5 wisdoms situation energy fields create. The sound of the bell is the spread, always increasing, always appropriate. So, with the guidance of your Lama or your inner nature or both, use this practice wisely. But now, because of the situation of us humans and what we're doing to the Mother Earth, and the environment, and so forth, it's appropriate. That's all I can say. And I've been wanting to do this. Then some people say, well, why don't you produce Mahakala? Why don't you produce Vajrakilaya? Why don't you produce the 5 deities, Kolo Duncho? Why don't you know? Well, yes. They're all Vajrapani. There's 84 of them out there to choose on. And their consorts, which are called the Dakinis, which are prolific. Okay, so don't think it's all about the male aspect, because the Dakinis are the ones who really do the work. You know, the elemental energy. That's what's disturbed. That's what we're having problems with. And if you don't believe that, look at what's going on in Australia, Eastern and Western United States, or actually everywhere on the planet. Africa, off the chart. Arabia, unbelievable. China, ugh.
Can't breathe.
Yeah, so take the news in small dosage and then do your practice. You too?
Or not at all.
Yeah, or not at all. You can't handle that. It's like some of the programming is so ridiculous.
You don't really need to look at the news to know.
You turn it on, you turn it off. Oh. Look at that. Any questions? Any questions? Now, we started the class a little late, so I think that it would be appropriate is to end with the medicine Buddha and direct this healing to our friends, relatives. I mean, I have right now my daughter, my granddaughter, my granddaughter's mother here on this island, and I can't talk to them.
Your daughter isn't here anymore.
Oh, the daughter.
Your daughter left.
But anyway, they're here. They're on the island. But it's not appropriate for me because they don't want to talk to me. And whatever they're doing isn't appropriate for what we're involved in. So I have to deal with them. And I have to do it in such a way that it's healthy, that it's loving kindness and compassion is the theme. So I think the medicine Buddha is appropriate.
Lamatashi,
Yeah.
That's a heartbreak, and my heart goes out to you. Can we also pray for the children um, at the school in Los Angeles who were victims of the shooting? There was another shooting at a school.
That's a 366 this year.
Wow.
That's something.
Oh, Monty, pay me home.
Almost every day.
Yes, I'd be happy to. I already was working on that one.
Yeah.
But that's totally appropriate. And may that kind of, along with vaping and another bunch of other weird things that are going on with the younger generation, disappear.
Or taking and sending?
Taking and sending is very appropriate. So you take in all that unwholesomeness as black light and gather it with your inhale into your heart center, which is the source of these practices. Then from your heart center, it disappears. That's Mahamudra. And yeah, it's there, but it's not there. It looks real, but there's another dimension of reality we're working with, called voidness, like space. Then you exhale back and you see that completely healed never happened. We're not saying it never happened, we're just transforming it in our mind. It never happened. We got these two realities, the outer reality, which is a shared reality, and the inner reality, which is your reality. We're not, in this case, our reality. So taking and sending is very appropriate. And it can be applied in that situation of extreme violence or war, famine, drought, environmental destruction, the spread of toxins, disease, etc., etc. You choose. Family members harming themselves, or very sick, or dying, or whatever, or going crazy, dysfunctional. Inhale that like black light, then with your power of focus and imagination, send light back and see it physically, mentally, emotionally. Okay. Because everything is and is not at the same time. That's how we do these tantric practices. Looks this way, but it's this way. Relatively, it looks this way, but absolutely it's this way. Relative nature, wisdom nature. They're both in our consciousness. Use them. Tajada Om Vikanji Mama Vikanji Asam Samagate Soha Tajada Om Vikanji Mama Vikanji Asam Samagate Soha Tajata Om Vikanji Mama Vikanji Vasasamgate 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 Soha And when we dedicate the merit, we dedicate it to all of the sentient beings that exist in the entire universe. And then you be specific about the ones you have karma with, or the ones you know to be in extreme states of dysfunction or suffering. They can be close to you or far away. There's no such thing as separation. In your mind, all beings exist all the time. In your mind. And they're all worthy of your kindness and consideration. Now we dedicate the merit to that. Kewa di nudu chagya chempo chugani chowa ching king malupa dei sala gopashna sanjay kusum nimpai jamadam choni nedu timpai jamadam Kendu Miche Tumpai Chamaki Chitar Gomwan Molon True or True. By this virtue of having realized Mahamudra, may I quickly establish all beings without exception in that state. By the blessings of the three bodies of the Buddha being accomplished, by the blessing of the truth of this Dharma being unchanging, and by the blessing of the wishes of us, the Sangha, being unfavored, may this dedication for our people fulfilled. May all beings have happiness in the cause of happiness. May they all be removed from suffering in the cause of suffering. May they all be established by our practice in bliss, in a state of emotional stability called equanimity, equality, and evenness of mind. May all the lamas have long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity. And may all their wishes be fulfilled. And tonight I say thank you, mahalo, juchiche in Tibetan, and juicy dreams, and aloha.